Hi everybody, it's Nikki again, and I'm doing one last video, and then I'm going and taking my swim. But this is my personal experience. In fact, it's my quick summary of auto mode day one. As long as I'm going to be in, I figured I would do the videos and give you guys my thoughts as while they were still fresh-ish. But it's not medical advice. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, not medical advice. I wanted to show you guys, this was basically my first 24 hours in auto mode. You know, nothing too fancy and nothing too spectacular, but it was okay. I can't say that my first day in anything with diabetes is, rock solid, so that's fair enough. What I was thinking is yesterday, minimum delivery was my problem in the past, where I would get, extended periods of minimum delivery, oftentimes 1 to 2.5 hours. And so far I've gotten 2 periods of 2.5 hours of minimum delivery. Yesterday, it definitely caused a problem. But after the phone call with Medtronic where they said it's okay to go back into manual mode, I decided to, rather than wait and let it learn you, I did go ahead and head out. I headed out at a blood sugar of a 171. I entered manual mode, I did a correction, and I did a manual correction, meaning that I added what I thought I was going to need, and I ended up still needing an additional 3 or 4 units of insulin, and I just stayed up at that 230. That is just because 2.5 hours of no insulin for me is just way too much, and when I go back even further into my graph, I can see that it wasn't just the 2.5 hours. There was an additional hour or 2 hours or 3 hours where I had been at a reduced rate. So it was kind of a really long period for just not quite enough insulin. And so even when I corrected at a 230, it was really a 230 and still rising. So it took a couple corrections. And in fact, I stayed out of auto mode last night for a couple of hours and ended up going back in around 10 o'clock at night. I will show you guys my overnight. And the reason I'm going to do this one is because, so here's my overnight, and I will show you that from midnight, it looks like up until midnight I got minimum delivery, and then it gave me, some insulin between around 1 and 3, so it was kind of keeping me even, but that was with the minimum delivery, and those were some reduced rates anyway. There's a lot of 0.025s and everything else in there. Basically what happened is that kind of set me up for this first climb, but that climb at 3 o'clock in the morning actually works out really well. I figured out I have 2 overnight patterns. There's more, but 2 really the main ones. And one is where I don't get very much insulin in the, I guess around 12 a.m., let's say, which means that by 3 a.m., my blood sugar is rising and then auto's giving me a lot of insulin, which means that when I wake up at 6 a.m., I'm going into my morning with a lot of insulin on board. And then I plummet. I mean, you can see at exactly 6 a.m., all of those right there are big micros. So I plummet when I get up. That's actually my second pattern. It's not my more common one. Usually I get a lot of insulin just after midnight, which then auto hits the brakes around 3 o'clock in the morning. And from 3 to 6, I don't get anything or very little. And so when I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and I go to have my coffee or whatever it is, I just rise and rise and rise. So I wanted to show you guys this because this was exactly what happened to me the last time as well. The difference was this morning I went ahead, I ended up having 3 cups of coffee for the price of 2 and 1 or whatever. Got a banana. I did manage to make it through my morning routine with the kids without crashing. That's nice. In manual mode, I do a lot of crashing in the morning. And then I ultimately got out of auto mode where I did a large bolus of about 4 units to cover for all that missed basal this morning, and that's going really well. That's probably, I'm not getting any insulin right now, so I'll show you that, and then I'll go test it at 400, but then I'll go exercise. So again, I think what's going to happen with all of this is in the end, the question is, what is the trade-off, and what am I willing to give up in order to go a couple of hours without looking, and can I go a couple of hours without looking if I just eat the right things and have the right settings, or, what's the trade-off? There was something else, calibrating I had no problems with. I was very careful with that. Minimum delivery I did get, and safe basal, which was interesting. I was put in safe basal this morning for an hour, and at one point I thought that safe basal was always the same micro over and over again. And I think David Merchant, you said it wasn't, and David Merchant, it's not. So I stand corrected on that. It was 0.025 for the first 45 minutes, and then it began to increase. And I didn't know safe basal. I thought it locked you in. So that was interesting. That's it. I'm going to go do my exercise. Thank you for watching, and have a good day. Bye.